I am joined by Rosemary Burrell and Kit McMahon. And Rosemary, hello ladies. Rosemary is the Principal Strategic Advisor at Bayside Peninsula Integrated Family Violence Partnership. And Kit is the CEO of Women's Health in the Southeast. We're going to talk today briefly about a subject that might be difficult for some people, domestic and family violence. So if this is a subject that is hard for you to listen to, don't feel that you have to continue. But also we will end with reminding everyone contact phone numbers and where you can go for help. If you are someone who is experiencing domestic violence or someone who has found this conversation hard to listen to. So the first thing I wanted to ask both of you is how support services in this area, particularly domestic and family violence, have seen the impact of the restrictions of COVID-19, whether we're seeing more, fewer, the same number of reports, and I guess how it is that you're able to still help people even though we can't have the sort of face-to-face meetings that we used to.
I think the problem initially was there was a massive scramble to get all the workers in the region working from home. So everyone's pretty much gone home and they're working from home now. The next kind of phase was everyone settling into a new way of working and not seeing huge spikes in family violence, but not seeing a huge decline either. I think the challenge for them was finding ways to contact women and engage with women in a safe way, because obviously the perpetrator was often and mostly in the home with them. So that combined with the fact that normally they'd be meeting face to face with women, the issue was also finding a safe time and a safe space. So there's been a bit of creativity among the workers in finding ways to do that, but still difficult to engage with women who haven't previously been seeking services. And I think the result of that has been that a lot of women are presenting later at higher risk of real harm and more complexity in the way that they're presenting.
And I imagine for many people, the trigger factors or the escalating factors are there, 3 or 4 of them at the same time, for example, and they haven't been there in that mass instance before. It was either work or anger management or drugs and alcohol, but now it might be all of them at the one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that, and we have had cases where perpetrators are using the COVID-19 as an additional way, threats to infect people or those sort of things as a way of controlling women and children and their movements.
Yeah, and it's worth just being really clear, and this gets back to the primary prevention work, that the drivers of violence in the home, or family violence we often call it in Victoria now because of the Royal Commission, are inequality. Right?
Yeah.
If you stereotype behaviours, if you condone the behaviour, if you accept it, that's like the canvas. Now, the contributing factors, which Rosemary talks about, are those things that go on top of an existing type of canvas. And you're right, Peter, there is a complex compounding of those contributing factors.
One of the purposes of this conversation we're having today
yes, brilliant.
Video is to make sure that people locally in the Frankston and broader area know that the services are still there.
Absolutely.
And before we go to your point too, maybe we could just take the opportunity to say to people, if you do think that you would like to talk to someone, how can they go about it? Locally.
Rosemary, it's 1-800-RESPECT.
1-800-RESPECT, the local service, the local Orange Door service is open, and that's 1-800-319-353. Those workers are still there. Or after hours crisis service, which is Safe Steps in Victoria.
Terrific, thank you.
They're all still operating and they're all still there. It's just being creative about when and how women can ring. And there's some really good tips out there about, maybe calling at night time or finding a time when the perpetrator's out of the house, or because we've had we've had some instances where our workers are working with the men as well, so they
Yes.
can liaise and collaborate with the women.
Yeah.
True. And I've put those numbers on my Facebook page before and put them on materials I've sent out, but we'll put them up again
all the time.
If anyone's watching this, don't worry if you didn't catch it and
Yeah.
write it down. It's on the post.
Is it worth mentioning also too that the specific men's lines and men's behavioural change support services have also recorded, and this has been in the news, Peter, an increase in call rates.
Yeah.
And that's men seeking help themselves for their own behaviours.
Men recognising that they're getting triggered and in the current environment, concerned about what might occur. So there have been quite a number more men contacting those lines looking for, and I know our local services are talking about trying to find some almost respite accommodation for those men to get them out of the homes.
So, I mean, that's not a great thing, of course, that men are feeling like that, but it's a pretty good sign, isn't it?
It is a good
that
sign.
They're contacting the help lines and
absolutely.
that. I will say this because people will raise it, they often do.
Yep.
Of course, we know that men can also be the victims of domestic and family violence. Overwhelmingly, it is women. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Overwhelmingly, it is women. But of course, if you are a man who is experiencing violence in an intimate relationship, you can also reach out for help. Look, I just want to end this conversation, and as we said, you know, it's short because the primary purpose of this was to make sure that our community knows what is still out there. You can still get help.
Absolutely.
And I think we also have to prepare ourselves for as social restrictions are eased. There will be more people who will need help across the gamut from housing to violence. So thank you very much, both of you, for being a part of this. And we have touched on the second thing that we need to do as a community in Dunkley, and then that's my job going to Canberra, is talking about the big picture changes that will hopefully mean in the not too distant future, we won't still be talking about how we can reduce domestic violence because we will have made a big dent in it. So
fantastic.
I'm very pleased that we've got people like you two as part of that project.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Yes.